Kia ora everybody, and welcome to Insider's Guide. Today we're discussing one of the most well-balanced ski fields in Aotearoa, Cardrona. Cardrona has great options for everyone, which we'll delve into today. In this video, we'll be discussing what you need to know to make the most out of your time at Cardrona. Because Cardrona is so complex, this Insider's Guide is split into two parts, so be sure to check out the other one to get the full picture. So without wasting any more time, let's begin an Insider's Guide to Ski Resorts, Cardrona. Now, Cardrona, sometimes called Cardies by locals, is one of the busiest South Island ski fields, so unlike at some others, you may encounter significant queues both on and off the mountain, even on non-peak days. However, rest assured, as I'll give you all the tips I know to avoid the lines today. Rentals and lift tickets are some of the busiest departments at the resort. In order to get around that, I would highly recommend buying or picking up your pass at the Cardrona office in Wanaka or Queenstown the night before you ski. Additionally, renting skis or board from a rental shop in town rather than at the resort is a good option. When you get up to the mountain, if you're driving yourself, I would highly recommend parking at Valley View, which I'll cover more in Part B. If you take the bus, you'll get dropped off at the main base. Cardrona is right between Wanaka and Queenstown and accessible from either. You can get a ticket to both Treble Cone and Cardrona, which are owned by the same company, so if that is your plan, you'll definitely want to stay in Wanaka. If you intend to ski either of the Queenstown ski fields, Cardrona or the Remarkables, despite them not being on the same pass as Cardrona, then you'll obviously want to stay in Queenstown. If you're only skiing Cardrona, then I'd lean Wanaka since it is a bit closer and quieter. Coming from Queenstown, you'll go over the highest mountain pass in New Zealand, so staying in Wanaka gives you a better chance of making it up on snowy days as well. I mentioned the bus a second ago, and while it is a highly convenient option, be aware that it often runs late, and as such, isn't a good option if you're counting on first tracks. Alright, let's get to the good stuff, starting in the main base. Right out of the main base area is the McDougall's Chondola, which operates with both gondola cabins and chairs. On stormy days, everyone wants to stay sheltered, so the gondola lines get longer. The opposite is true on sunny days. Thus, if you want to somewhat cheat the lines, ride the chair side on stormy days and the gondolas on sunny days. It's not a huge difference, but it is noticeable. The gondolas can also be used by non-skier foot passengers so you can see the views from the top. It's worth it, trust me. Buy a pass, head up the gondola, grab a drink from the bar, and soak in the view down over Queenstown and the lake. The singles line is kind of tucked away on the looker's right of the lift, and its entrance faces the uphill side, so just beware of that if you're going to be skiing alone. Of course, your other main option out of the base is to head down All Nations or Short Black, which is a short, steep, and skied off-piste zone, to White Star. I don't like this method for one major reason. For the most part, White Star is by far the busiest lift in the resort. It seems like every trail goes to White Star, and with that, every person goes to White Star. It's so busy that it actually has an employee managing the queue, which is a first for me in New Zealand as I write this. As such, I try to avoid White Star at all costs between 10:30 and 2:30. So, where possible, to ski this area, try to use McDougall's, or McDee's as you'll sometimes also see and hear it referred to as. McDougall's offers access to two main greens, Skyline and Footrot Flats. Skyline is much narrower and thus feels much busier, and it also has more advanced traffic transiting the Willows Pod. As such, I highly recommend Footrot Flats instead. Racecourse is the main blue groomer in the pod. It's a really nice run that isn't as busy because its entrance is kind of hidden. There is an entrance just lookers left at the White Star top terminal, but that entrance is very steep and icy. The much better entrance begins from the lookers right of White Star. You can go as if you're going into the terrain park, but you keep going past. Lots of people think that's a terrain park access only trail, so they avoid it, so Racecourse is a great progression blue. All Nations is another good blue cruiser that is just a continuation of Racecourse. Be careful not to miss the cut back over to the main base as you come down Racecourse, however, or else you'll be waiting in the White Star lines. Upper Gold Rush is another blue cruiser, but it gets a bit narrow towards the bottom of Big Bucks here, and it has all of the terrain park traffic on it. Additionally, it is very difficult to get across back to the main base from it, as it requires traversing pretty much straight through the middle of a park. As such, I much prefer Racecourse. Ridge Rider starts as an unmarked traverse on the skier's left side of Gold Rush. Most of the time, however, it's pretty obvious to experienced skiers and riders. Traverse until you hit the fence and go down along the fence line. Don't go through any gates, however. At the crest of the hill, if you go right, you'll head down what I consider the easiest black at Cardrona, Last Shot Bowl. It's a wide, fairly level run, and really the only reason it's a black is because it's pretty steep. It can get relatively skied off, but it's still a fun little off-piste area. A vast majority of people go that way at the crest. However, if you continue straight down, Ridge Rider opens up into an absolutely untouched powder field. In all seriousness, Ridge Rider can hold powder for a week after a storm. Nobody goes there. It's an absolutely fantastic area. Now, I'm no park skier, but I did see how all the parks looked, and Cardrona is one of the best terrain park mountains in all of New Zealand. Big Bucks had extra large jumps as promised, but unlike the trail map depicts, Stag Lane was primarily a rail jam. Antlers Alley had medium jumps. Lil Buck starts off as small jumps and then becomes another small rail area. Its entrance is unmarked from Weston's trail, but it's a pretty obvious gap in the fence on the skier's left. I'll let you guys figure out what these pipes are, because if I have to explicitly tell you, you shouldn't be anywhere near them. This little Gravity X has an entrance just skiers' right of racecourse. It is an oft-groomed, flowy little trail, almost like a banked slalom, but not quite. It's quite fun, and great to take capable kids on. Just lookers right of the frontside White Star McDee's pod is Arcadia, which is one of the coolest aesthetics in Aotearoa. It is home to the Arcadia chutes, which are some of the most technical and also most popular chutes at Cardrona. The upper chutes offer nearly a dozen different routes, which I obviously can't cover all of. To access them, head down as if you're going Upper Gold Rush, but traverse as high skiers left as possible to hit the fence line. You'll have 4 gates to pick from. Straight through Gate 1 is the widest of the chutes, and as you start to get down towards Gate 4, they tighten significantly. The lower chutes are just skiers left of Arcadia Valley and aren't as long or tight as many of the upper chutes. Arcadia Valley itself is easy to miss from Arcadia Basin, so keep your eyes open on your right. It is very mellow as it winds through this valley, before cutting between a couple chutes and hitting a short section as a switchback road back down to Comeback Trail. It's a fun experience, although not to be trifled with in poor snow conditions, as it is often left partially or fully ungroomed, or in poor visibility, as it can be hard to follow as it goes between chutes on the lower portion. And if you're a lower level skier, accidentally finding yourself in lower Arcadia chutes is the last place you want to be. If you look down and see you're on the left side of the pond, you're in the wrong spot. Arcadia Basin itself here is a super nice, wide, gentle groomer. Bowling Alley is often left ungroomed, so everything lookers right of Arcadia Basin all the way over to Quartz Ridge makes for some really good red level off-piste. Powder Keg is a very wide, very steep, very icy groomer, and it takes you back to White Star. So overall, it's not my favorite. Comeback Trail's entrance is just above the Captain's Bottom Terminal, so don't ski all the way into the queue if you intend to take it. It's not terribly flat overall, but it definitely has some spots. It offers fantastic views down the valley towards Wanaka. Underrun is very easy to miss, so keep your eye out for it. Honestly, I've never used it, and I don't know many people who have. Continuing on Arcadia Basin all the way to Captain's, however, is a more popular option. It's unsigned, but it's typically pretty obvious over on the skier's left. It is often ungroomed, so you may have a bit of a freeride experience before descending the ridge into Captain's Basin. By far the most popular route into Captain's is Sean's Way to a Real Journey, which is a road, but it moves along well enough. To return from Captain's, you can take the aforementioned Comeback Trail, or you can take Overrun or the Queenstown Return. Queenstown Return offers some of the best views at the resort, down that entire valley towards Lake Wakatipu and Queenstown. However, it is very flat at the end and is much longer than Overrun. Overrun is also just a road, but is much more brief and less flat. My recommendation is to functionally use Overrun, but definitely hit Queenstown Return at least once. The entrance to Queenstown Return requires exiting right from Captain's. Alright, that about wraps it up for Part A. Now go check out Part B, all about the rest of Cardrona, or check out one of our other Insider's Guides, all about other resorts in New Zealand, North America, and Europe. As always, please put any questions down below. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.